Most people are not one emergency away from being rich. They're one emergency away from completely falling apart. And deep down, they know it. That's why so many people check their bank accounts with anxiety. Why salary alerts bring temporary relief instead of real security. Why people smile outside but silently panic over small expenses inside supermarkets, restaurants, and late-night conversations about money. Because modern life has created a dangerous illusion. People look financially stable while privately surviving on emotional pressure. A car payment here, a subscription there, a lifestyle they slowly grew into, a need to look successful, a fear of appearing left behind. And over time, without even realizing it, their entire life becomes financially fragile. Not because they're lazy, not because they're intelligent, but because nobody teaches people how to build a calm financial life, only how to chase a visually impressive one. And that's the strange part. The people who appear the most financially successful are sometimes the ones carrying the most invisible pressure. Pressure to maintain appearances, pressure to keep earning, pressure to keep consuming, pressure to keep pretending everything is under control. Because somewhere along the way, financial stability stopped being about peace and became performance. Everywhere you look, someone is upgrading their life. A new car, a better apartment, designer clothes, luxury restaurants, vacation photos, success announcements. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to feel behind, even when you're trying your best. That's the strange part about financial instability. It rarely begins with a crisis. It begins with tiny emotional decisions, small moments, small impulses, small comparisons. A late-night purchase after a stressful day, ordering food because you're too mentally exhausted to cook, buying something expensive because everyone around you seems to be progressing faster, saying yes to outings you honestly cannot afford because you don't want to feel excluded. And at first, none of it feels dangerous. That's what makes it powerful. Financial instability rarely arrives loudly. It arrives quietly, slowly. Without noticing it, your expenses begin controlling your emotions. Your lifestyle begins controlling your choices. Your image begins controlling your decisions. And eventually, you stop spending for survival. You start spending for emotional relief. Because minimalism is not really about owning fewer things. It's about reducing unnecessary emotional pressure. And most people are carrying far more pressure than they realize. The pressure to look successful before becoming stable. The pressure to constantly upgrade. The pressure to keep up with lifestyles they see online every single day. Social media changed the psychology of money completely. Years ago, people compared themselves to neighbors. Now they compare themselves to millions of strangers. Strangers with perfect lighting, perfect vacations, perfect apartments, perfect relationships, perfect-looking lives. But the strange part is, most people online are not posting reality, they're posting performance. And performance is expensive, financially, mentally, emotionally. People buy things they don't truly need just to feel temporarily enough. Enough for society, enough for friends, enough for social media, enough for themselves. But temporary emotional satisfaction has become one of the most expensive addictions in modern life. Because emotional spending doesn't solve insecurity, it only pauses it. That expensive phone, that luxury dinner, that designer item, that unnecessary upgrade, it feels exciting briefly. Then normal life returns. The anxiety returns. The comparison returns. The insecurity returns. So people consume again and again and again. Not because they're shallow, because they're emotionally exhausted. What most people never realize is that many financial problems are actually emotional coping mechanisms in disguise. People are not always buying products, they're buying emotional experiences, validation, status, confidence, belonging, relief. And companies understand this perfectly. That's why modern advertising rarely sells products anymore. It sells identities. It sells the idea that a better purchase can create a better version of you. And honestly, that idea is psychologically powerful, because most people are tired of struggling, tired of uncertainty, tired of feeling behind. So consumption becomes emotional escapism. But over time, that emotional escapism quietly creates financial instability. And instability changes people. It changes how they sleep, how they think, how they respond to stress, how they experience everyday life. Some people haven't felt genuine financial calm in years, even when they're earning money, because income and stability are not the same thing. That's another uncomfortable truth nobody talks about enough. Some people increase their income, but increase their lifestyle even faster, which means their pressure never actually disappears, only their spending changes. And this is why one of the most important minimalist money rules is simple. Never build your life around your highest moments. Build it around stability. Because life changes constantly. Jobs change, economies change, energy changes, unexpected problems happen, and people who build entire lifestyles around constant high performance become emotionally fragile. One difficult month suddenly feels catastrophic. That's why financially stable people often look surprisingly ordinary. They repeat simple behaviors consistently. They avoid unnecessary financial chaos. They delay gratification. They think long-term. They spend intentionally. They protect peace more than appearances. And modern culture finds this boring, because modern culture celebrates visible wealth more than invisible discipline. We praise luxury, we praise excess, we praise aesthetics. But quiet stability? Most people overlook it completely. Until life becomes difficult, then suddenly peace becomes more valuable than appearances. Because nothing exposes financial instability faster than an emergency, a medical problem, job loss, family responsibility, unexpected bills, economic uncertainty. And deep down, many people already know how vulnerable they truly are. They feel it every time they hesitate before checking their account balance, every time they calculate whether they can survive another expense, every time they mentally prepare for salary alerts before making decisions. That constant anxiety slowly becomes part of daily life. And over time, people normalize survival mode. They think stress is adulthood. They think exhaustion is ambition. They think panic is responsibility. But it shouldn't be. Minimalist money rules are not about restriction. They're about emotional freedom. The freedom to breathe without constantly worrying. The freedom to survive difficult seasons without collapsing psychologically. The freedom to make decisions calmly instead of emotionally. And honestly, calm has become a luxury in modern society. Everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone is rushing. Everyone is trying to prove something. Prove success. Prove happiness. Prove relevance. Prove progress. But the strange part is, the people who are truly stable often stop trying to prove themselves at all. Because real financial confidence is usually quiet. It doesn't constantly seek attention. It doesn't need endless validation. It values control more than appearance. And maybe that's the hardest lesson modern life teaches too late. Looking wealthy and feeling secure are completely different experiences. One is visual, the other is emotional. And emotional security cannot be purchased through endless consumption. It's built slowly, quietly, repeatedly, through disciplined decisions nobody applauds. Cooking at home, avoiding unnecessary upgrades, ignoring social pressure, living below emotional temptation, choosing peace over performance. And none of these things look exciting online, but they create something much more valuable than temporary attention. They create breathing room. And breathing room changes everything. Because when people finally stop living under constant financial pressure, they think differently, they sleep differently, they speak differently, they move through life differently. Not because they became rich overnight,
but because they became less emotionally controlled by money. And maybe that's the real goal most people are secretly searching for. Not luxury, not endless consumption, not social media success, just relief. Relief from pressure, relief from pretending, relief from constantly feeling one mistake away from collapse. Because at the end of the day, most people are not truly chasing wealth. They're chasing the feeling they believe wealth will finally give them. Safety, freedom, peace, control. And sometimes, the first step toward financial stability is not earning more. It's learning how to stop emotionally leaking the life you already have.